unapologetically himself, never scared to say what's on his mind, good or bad. Admittedly, he's been a little lost for some time now. Let's try and find out what he thinks he needs to get back on the right path. Stefanos Tsitsipas, welcome to the Changeover. All right, so it's been a long time coming, this one. First of all, thanks to Petros Tsitsipas for setting us up with his brother Stefanos here. We started talking about this back around Miami time, so to have him on the podcast finally is a big pleasure. Steph, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
For sure. We wanted to start a little bit with kind of what we've been seeing from you the last couple of years. So it looks like, from a very outside perspective, like you've been looking for some answers for maybe a year and a half, 2 years or so. It looks like you tweaked the serve a little bit at some point. You came with a new racket in Dubai this year, and that seemed to really work right away. And then kind of in the clay season, you went back to the blade. And then now also the things with the coaching changes and sort of, I guess, adding different elements to your team. I'm just curious, what have you been going through internally as a professional tennis player, and what kind of questions are you trying to answer for yourself?
Well, I would imagine the tour works in circles, and there are certain moments where you're trying to constantly adapt and come up with new solutions, new ways of how you can reform your game and restructure what you know and what you can do best. It is interesting because I feel like the tennis the last couple of years has actually improved a lot, and things have actually changed, and the standard of what I remember has actually increased and gotten better. Obviously, there has been a lot of talk about how the balls have gone slower and the courts have kind of slowed down too. And I've been feeling that sort of discomfort in the last couple of years, having to play in the tennis scene. I feel like there's much more rallying now. I'm constantly comparing to the player that I was a few years ago, and the way I'm responding to certain situations now. The change that happened earlier this year with the racket was something that I was thinking of for a long time now. I was very convinced that it might help my game. One thing that I was lacking in my game, I felt like, was coming up with bigger shots and being a little bit more unpredictable. My backhand side, obviously, I seem to be losing a lot of points from specific parts of the court from my backhand side. And at times I felt like I didn't offer or create enough power from that particular part of the court. I immediately saw a huge improvement in Dubai, mentioning that racket switch. I remember switching to the racket, and the very first feeling that I had was, this is it. This is exactly the racket I should be playing with, because I instantly felt the confidence kick in my backhand side. My return suddenly improved massively. I've had these discussions with many members of my team, how such small change suddenly had an increase in my confidence and the way I felt on the court, which ultimately was a great decision from my end. I was talking about this switch for about 2 years before it happened. And I remember having a conversation after a US Open loss with with one of my team members that is on the analytics part. I remember talking to him and saying I should probably switch to that one particular racket because I feel like it can really benefit my game. 2 years down the road, I took that decision after having a horrible loss in Doha, a loss that I'm not used to, a loss that cost me a lot because I felt like I was physically prepared. I literally did everything right. I've been preparing and practicing for so long and taking the right steps, following the right direction to kind of improve my game and see certain aspects of my game grow. But it seemed like I was really going backwards for a few months now in a row. So I just decided to pull the trigger and do that, to proceed with that. It kind of surprisingly, like, one would imagine that going for such a change would require you a few weeks to get adjusted to and to acclimatize to something like this. Because for professional tennis players, this is quite a big change. You're used to hold the same stick for so many years. You're used to this same dance pattern for all your life, and suddenly you're just going from one extreme to the other. It is a very strange sensation, but to me, it clicked naturally. I remember picking it up for the very first time, going to practice, and feeling refreshed in my mind. It was such a refreshing feeling, knowing that I can suddenly gain in power and spin and net clearance and all of those things. I felt very confident, and I knew that that was the right decision for me. Obviously, months later down the road, I decided to go back to my previous pattern, which was the Wilson blade that I've been using for so many years, just because I felt like it performed much better on clay. I had a discussion with one of the ex-professional tennis players that now works as a manager and an agent, and he told me that I'm not actually insane to think that, because he's had the same dilemma when he played himself on the tour. Um, Part of the equipment that he was using felt better on hard courts, and then the same type of equipment didn't feel as good on clay, where you have to kind of open up the court a little bit more and play different angles than on hard courts. Serve wasn't as good with the previous equipment that I was using, and I felt like I needed some of my elements that I was delivering at the best when playing on clay. Kind of, I needed that identity back. So that is also the reason I decided to go back to something that I feel like serves as a comfort zone mainly.
Do you think we're moving towards a situation where players are changing their setups depending on like what you're describing here with surfaces and speeds and conditions? Because it's like what you said in the past. Like for example, I play with the pro staff now. I played with it many years when I was young. I moved away from it for a little bit, and now I'm with the pro staff again. But I can't imagine just picking up a racket and changing it
Yeah.
because I'm going next week indoor fast or hard courts, and then next week outside clay. Do you think we're moving towards that in the tennis game, or is that at least where you see your game going? Could that be a case where you change setups based on the speed and surfaces?
I would have never imagined that myself, to be honest with you. And I know I was never a player that was too picky with equipment and rackets, but I knew that my game had to evolve somehow. I I was just a little bit, I would say, fed up having to muscle my ball every single time I played, and that was something that I was dealing with for quite a while. I felt like I had to literally put a 110% into my shot every single time, and dealing with some elbow issues, some shoulder issues. Obviously, my lower back, which forced me to retire from the Nito finals and some other tournaments later on. Things like that, obviously, they add on later, and they make you reconsider what you're using and how you're training and all of those things. And immediately when I want to go back to that switch that I made, I immediately, when I went back to that particular setup that I started using, I never felt my arm again. I felt no pain anywhere in my body, and it was kind of shocking to see that much of a difference instantly within a month. I felt like a healthy individual. I felt like a healthy player. Um, I would have never imagined I would have gone through a phase like that, because it was, in a way, enlightening to feel that, and refreshing to feel that as a player, because I felt like every single time I went to practice, it felt like, mainly, I would say, like a torture instead of a pleasure. And I had a lot of those moments where it felt like I literally had to destroy myself every single time I had to go out and play. That's exactly how it felt.
So before you made the big switch, did you try any smaller adjustments like different strings, different patterns, different tensions?
I absolutely did. Nothing seemed to kind of narrow down to what I was exactly looking for. So it was sort of there, but not entirely. You have a specific sort of idea of what you're looking for in terms of power and spin. Balls feel kind of more dead these days. I don't feel like I'm getting as much of an effect out of my shot as I used to years ago. And players have also been quite vocal about it. I remember like hearing some other players speaking about how the balls and how the courts have gotten slower, and now you have to kind of double up on the work to win the same point that you've been able to before. And I understand it. I can see it with my own eyes. I had a discussion with one of the main guys at Wilson recently, and where I literally understood it even better is when he told me that in the last 5 years I haven't had a single player of ours come to me and say I'm looking for more control. Every single player that I'm working with has at some point come to me and said I'm seeking for more power and I'm seeking for more spin out of my shot. And he said we used to see that trend more in the past where players would come to me and ask me for more control, but this is thrown out the window now. It's non-existent.
So the Ivanisevic news. So you've hired a new coach. What what do you think he can bring to your game? Like, what goes into that process of going through and finding a coach that fits for you? Are you looking for someone who has the same ideas that you do about your game, or you find somebody who's gonna give you something new that you haven't thought about before? Like, how did you land on Goran as the choice for your new coach?
There were a lot of candidates before I picked Goran. I was storming through different ideas and through different people that I thought could offer value to my coaching situation and my game, bring in new ideas, new perspectives. I feel like Goran is a person that is very experienced on the tour. He has worked with plenty of players. One thing that also makes him stand out is obviously his enormous persona and this character that he has become through tennis and winning Wimbledon, obviously, and carrying so much experience throughout his career, both at playing but also at coaching. I feel like he has a lot of knowledge. I believe he's a very wise person, and these are the characteristics that I'm looking for when I'm aiming to work with someone. These are really important qualities for me. I feel like he has a lot of value to bring into my game. He has an eye for tennis. I don't know him very well personally, but I'm sure I'm going to get to know him even better in the next couple of weeks when I'm going to start working with him. It takes a lot of confidence to decide something like this, and I was quite clear and quite confident on sort of sticking with him. um, we shared a similar culture. I would say that also helps a little bit. We're not too far apart. He's Balkan as me. We share similar culture, as I said. And in my opinion, I also believe that the lack that I had from that perspective of a next player to try and bring into my coaching situation, I never had before, except with Mark Philippoussis when I worked with him. I feel like that's part of an identity in a coach that is important to have played before at a high level, to not only coach me on how I can hit better forehands and backhands, but also coach me in the way I should probably be thinking and the way he has faced situations in his own personal career, and maybe pass those tough experiences, those adversity moments, and teach me through his own experiences.
So maybe like a bit of a mental edge you can gain through
Exactly.
his experiences. Fair.
We've seen obviously especially at the top of professional tennis, the coaching changes happens. You have these, I guess, these big figure coaches that go around and change from player to player depending on the situation. But can you describe from your experience what you believe will go into this little period of, you getting to know the coach and the coach getting to know you? Because I'm sure you have your ways and your, I guess, your systems that you've built up over the years, and maybe he will have his ideas of the system. So have you guys had kind of conversations about how you guys will work as a team, what kind of habits he would like to build or break, or just, I guess, what the idea is going forward with this, a new partnership and a new coach that you haven't really worked with in the past?
The biggest challenge would be to try and get to know each other in a way that is going to be collaborative, and in a way that we will both be able to get a little bit of what we like and what we want, but not too much of it. My idea of working with him is to obviously see my own perspective of what I can improve and things that I can get better at, but also be all ears and super open-minded about the ideas that he thinks of me, and there's strategies that he can apply into my game, and the strategy not only of the things that he can apply to my game, but also the daily training and the daily mindset and improvement that I can apply into my game. And I feel like he's of big value because he can approach my game more of an as an opponent, I would say, of how he would wanna uh, defeat me if he was my opponent. So seeing those type of elements kick in, um, he definitely will come up with a good solution of how we can proceed and move forward. Uh, I have faith in his abilities. I'm not expecting this to be suddenly something that starts giving me titles from week one or week two. This is a long. I'm focusing more on the long process of it, the the whole journey of working with him. And my whole goal with that is to try and see improvements, understand why I do certain things wrong. It's not about seeing myself get only better, but also understand better what I'm doing wrong. Because sometimes I feel like there's no clear vision of why it's going wrong and why certain things happen. And I'm a very solution oriented person, and I want to have a fresher eye and a fresher perspective of how can I avoid mistakes, how can I get better at mistakes, how can I accept my mistakes a little bit better, and how can I proceed to fix those mistakes instantly. And probably someone that has experienced it on a deeper level on the tour knows the answer to those type of things. It will be definitely a constant reevaluation and a constant recalibration of how we can figure out ways. I don't expect it to be something that I figure out once and then it stays with me forever.
I completely agree with you. I think, especially with a coaching change like this, first of all, you have to have absolute confidence in the person that you're going to be working with, and then you have to have the commitment to actually take into consideration what they're saying, even if you don't agree with it. Maybe you have that discussion with the person, but then commit to the direction that you're going to have, whether that's a similar direction that you had before or a new one. Like, it takes both confidence and commitment, and it is a challenge also. So it's probably exciting for you.
It's challenging. You're absolutely right. I see this as a big challenge both for the evolution of my personal career and growth. And I'm really in for the ride to get to know him better and try and score big results and do big things with him. Like, I'm really in for the ride.
Hey guys, quick break from the episode. The best way to support us is to like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of the episode.
I'm curious about the relationship with you and your father. So he coached you for a long time up until recently, and for me, like my father, as a young man, I've always felt like he's the person in the world that I want to sort of respect me the most. So like whenever he would give me sort of in his mind advice or his opinion on things, and maybe I might be in an emotional state, I would buck at him. I wouldn't always take it well because I want him to respect and support me in those moments where maybe things might be tense or whatever, but he might have a different approach at certain times. So I'm curious. Now that he's not necessarily going to be your main coach, have you guys found a different way of communicating with each other? Is tennis still the main thing with you guys, or is there more of a different vibe between you two now that tennis isn't necessarily the thing that you guys are focused on all the time together?
Our relationship has actually gotten better over the last couple of months. It was very hard and difficult in the beginning when we split, as you know, the relationship that we had as coach and player. It was very hard for him to accept that he's not anymore part of my inner circle. I mean, when I mean inner circle, he's still my father and he's still someone that remains dear and close to me. But he was used to a center standard this and all these years when we worked together, like constantly close to me, coaching me, being part of my tennis journey. The only time that I would probably disconnect from him was on vacations and time off away from tennis. And anything else but not that, he would always be around me and always having an opinion about every single thing. He's an amazing person in my life because he's done so many sacrifices and he's done so much work. He stayed late nights to scout on my games, to evaluate games, to reflect on games, why I lost. He sometimes gets even more bitter and upset than I do when I lose matches. Because why I mentioned losing matches, because that probably happens 95% of my career. 5% or less is the only time where I walk away with the trophy. So those moments, they happen quite frequently, and he's someone that feels for me more than any other person that I have worked with. I feel like he's living his own dream through me, and to kind of take away that from him, as a coach, obviously was hurting him for a while. But I now we found a new way of communication and a new way of having a relationship between one another that is, I feel, much healthier than it was before. It reached a point before where tennis got too much in the way, and as bad as it sounds, I think it became even toxic in a way, because I felt like he was constantly hunting, and it reached a point where he was hunting more than me. And that's where the pressure kicks in. That's where I feel the toxicity of it all. And that's not the environment that I envisioned with tennis. I envisioned to be someone that wants to achieve big things, but do it in a much healthier state and a much less greedy state, if I may say.
Located in South Florida, Access Tennis is in the ideal location for training and competition. There are groups available for all levels of players, from young juniors to top ITF, D1, and pro players like Jody and myself. Access had a big part in the development of players like Cooper Williams, Ben Wilworth, Liam Draxel, and more. Access also has UTR match play certification. Visit accesstennis.com/contact for more information.
I'm stringing up my racket using my Pro Stringer. I've had this machine for 4 or 5 years now. The Pro Stringer is a portable stringing machine. It's very durable. It's accurate. I never have any issues with the tension being incorrect and stuff. It's easy for me to know what to expect from the racket. And we at the Changeover actually have a partnership with Pro Stringer. So if you'd like to go and purchase one, you can go to the website and you get to save $100 off a brand new Pro Stringer when you use our discount code Changeover in the checkout. So if you're interested in a portable stringing device, I highly recommend this machine. Saves a lot of money in stringing fees. And like I said, I take it everywhere I go and string all of my rackets on this machine.
You came into the tour at an interesting time. So you were at the age where you kind of caught the, let's say, the second half of the big three, big fours, let's say, reign on over the tour, and you kind of rose quickly, had a lot of success, and then you were at one point a set away from a French Open title. And then not too long after that, these two guys, Sinner and Alcaraz, come sort of out of nowhere, and they seem to have games that sort of don't struggle with the things that you're having issues with the last few years. So like they seem like they don't really have, let's say, maybe a clear weakness, and they sort of find ways to sort of win points from many areas of the court. So I'm curious if what feelings came out of you having these two guys come out of nowhere? Is it a feeling of like, fuck, I missed my window? Or is it more like, okay, they set a new standard now and I have to just push my limits and I have to kind of just find a way to get to where they are?
As crazy as it may sound, I was expecting for that to happen at some point, because
Okay.
I remember talking about tennis upgrading and becoming even stronger, and top three not existing anymore because it's going to be way more players competing for big tournaments. I think the level has really increased. Like, you get great players in fourth rounds now on slams, quarterfinals. You get players that are really tough to beat, and that was not really the case about 5 to 6 years ago. It was not the same. So my view on this is, well, of course, tennis was probably at a different state a few years back, but that's the natural circle. I mean, it's going to happen sooner or later. I don't see it as a curse. I don't see it as something bad. I actually admire that tennis goes through something like that, because it's very healthy and good for the sport. We need superstars. We need people that are doing big things in the sport. I am privileged to be playing the sport because it's such an amazing sport that I chose to follow, and it has, brought in so many hardships, so many different states of mind, having to withstand failure, and growing resilient, and having to kind of withstand that mental struggle of kind of pushing through every single time. I've had the privilege to play both of them. They're incredible athletes. amazing people, both of them. I can say that it pushes me to want to be better when I see them play. I've even considered maybe switching to a double-handed backhand just to be able to.
No, you
Nah,
have
nah, nah,
not.
nah,
You have
nah,
not.
nah. Now you're talking shit.
But you see them play, it's almost as if they have a second forehand from the back
Yeah,
when you
for
see them
sure.
play, especially Yannick Sinner. Sometimes I see him and I'm like, damn it, like it's crazy. He's slapping the backhand as if it's a forehand. So you see them, move around the court as if without many signs of weakness. There isn't sort of a big hole anywhere in their game. I would say the net game has kind of disappeared over the last couple of years. So that is something that is perhaps something that has died over the last couple of decades on the tour. But the baseline game of those guys, I would consider myself in there as well. Why not? We're much more. We're machines behind the baseline. We're working our way through the baseline, trying to win points as effectively as we can, and we're striking the heck out of the ball.
Question for you. So, how do you prepare for a match? Let's say you're preparing for a match, especially when you're at the top of the game, because this doesn't really happen that often, like in the futures and challenges, where if you're tearing through draws, you're gonna eventually go from futures to challenges, and then challenges to the ATPs and up. But then when you get to the top of the game, you're kind of seeing the same group of guys multiple times a year. So, how does your preparation for the same person change depending on where you play them, or like what kind of things do you look for, you and your team look for in preparation for playing the same person several times in a year?
My preparation when I face any opponent doesn't really change. It remains consistent and I go throughout my routines. To me, that is important to build a routine that you follow, consistently, and you are disciplined about the things that you do before you enter a match. I have a good, mobility activation before I get to the practice court. I make sure I warm up well all of my joints and make sure everything is activated and uh, warmed up before I enter the court, because the last thing that I want to do is get injured. And with those sort of limits that you reach these days, you kind of have to stretch pretty much everywhere around the court and be in a stretching position to play even the most difficult shots. Nothing is going to come easy when I play those guys. I know that I'm going to have to be at 100% of my game. Um, I always make sure to have a good warm up before I enter the match. One thing that I make sure to do before playing any opponent is go through an analysis with both of my coach and any other team member that might be on the analytics part, to give me a clear understanding of how I need to approach my game, how I need the parts of the court that I need to focus more on, and where I should also be expected or expecting to sort of be pushed at around the court, the potential tactic or strategy that they might use against me. And one thing that is super important, obviously in men's tennis, is knowing where your opponent is going to serve. So that is something that I spend a lot of time on checking before entering the court, to know what side of the court they would favor, on a due side or on an ad side, and knowing where I should sort of prioritize a little bit more on a big point, because you also analyze the big points. It's not only the 15 holes and the 30 holes, it's the pressure points. You want to obviously know where they might favor it more. um, from experience, I know that most of them would want to favor my backhand when it comes to crucial points, so that kind of opens up a new door for me, knowing that there is something over there. I might consider it a little bit more when I'm playing. But at the end, it's not. This is not gonna decide the match. Knowing those things is not going to give you a match. It's an enhancement. It's something that might help you figure it out better. But at the end, you still need to do the job. You still need to put in the work during the match, and you still need to suffer the same way.
Can you give us one example of how something may change? Like if you play a player, let's say at Wimbledon on grass versus that same player on US Open, like how can the analytics change? Like would it be that they're preferring different like serving spots? Is it that they're attacking better to a certain direction? Like, or is it that they feel more pressure playing out of certain positions? Like how can the numbers change between one situation to another with the exact same player? Can you think of one?
Think of it as the court being split in four different boxes. The right side of the court is split into A, B, and the left side of the court is split into CD. So there are certain opponents and players that prefer playing from the furthest, most extreme side of the court, which would be a D on the backhand. There are certain players that really like and thrive on those sort of situations and patterns. And there are other players where they might not be able to create angles as much, or might feel a little bit more pressured when you go more penetrating throughout the C side in their backhand, or the B side on their forehand. So there are all sort of tactics and strategies that you can apply to on how you want to perceive certain rally situations. It is very interesting because you never really consider those type of things when I played before. I never really considered those type of things. I felt like this kind of came a little bit more natural during a match, but now everything is as precise as it could be. Every single shot that I hit is measured, and I know that a specific part of the court might benefit me more than something else. I know that perhaps if I'm serving on a 40-all, my opponent might know that I'm most likely to serve out wide because it's a serve that I really like. So I try and change it up, because even my opponent would go through analytics and all kinds of uh, measurements of stats, knowing where I would want to favor them, where I would favor myself more in certain situations. So it's almost like a chess game, I would describe it. At the end, you might predict certain things. They might work out or they might not, but it's a big mind game, tennis, as a sport.
For sure. We don't have too much time, so I want to get to know you as a person a little bit, because in juniors, you and I actually played at Eddie Her Quali's under 18. Maybe you were like 15 or something, like you were young. We played first round.
I remember.
Yeah, we played. And I remember hitting with you at the grade 1 in France, in Beaulieu-sur-Mer. And then I think I saw you at like grade 4 when you may have been like 14 in Holland. And
Bro, how good's your
my,
memory? Oh my
my
god.
perception, back when he was wearing like lotto clothes, but like back then,
I
would
remember you. I remember you.
yeah. Back then, I viewed you as a person who, like, obviously, like, tennis was everything, but like you cared. It seemed to me like you cared about tennis and your family, because like you guys are very tight knit, and it didn't seem like you gave a shit at all about if anybody around liked you, like your peers.
Yep.
I just wanted to first ask you if that's accurate. Like, is that how you were when you were younger, or did I have like a false perception of you?
Look, I was really focused on my goal. I really loved tennis, and I wasn't there to make friendships. I saw a lot of my peers would kind of hang around the tournaments, would want to spend time with friends, and combine this with good time and tennis. I was purely there to try my best, play the best tennis that I could play, and I was friendly and nice to everyone. I wouldn't say I had any enemies or people that I disliked. I was just really focused on the game of tennis. I knew that my parents sacrificed a lot for me. At the time, I wasn't very flexible in terms of funds and money to travel. I knew that my parents were struggling a little bit because of the economic crisis that happened in Greece, and my father was jobless. We were solely sort of depending on my mother's side. She had, her sister that was helping us a little bit, traveling around. I didn't have a sponsor. I didn't have any federation supporting me. Um, and I felt the responsibility of that, but it never really created pressure because I was really confident in myself and my abilities as a player. I got asked that a lot in the past, if I felt the pressure of going through all of this, because this can kind of feel chaotic in your mind when this is happening. But I would say that I thrived on it. It in a way, it turned me on, and I really wanted to prove myself on the court and show that I'm capable of reaching new heights and being the first Greek to do something like this. I really I was feeding off by it.
And okay, so then comes along Paula, right?
That's right.
Is there ever a sense of guilt in not, let's say, putting I want to say 100% focused because maybe that's not even fair to say. But is there a sense of guilt having now a new priority in your life along with your family and tennis? Now that there's a new person that comes into the thing that's gonna require you to give a lot of your time and effort so that the thing works?
It was for sure something that distracted me the first 3-4 months when it started, and I can
So it's
only
her
say that
fault.
And
now.
if we have to edit this, it's okay because you don't want to get in trouble later. It's okay. With her.
There is nothing wrong with it. I understand that it would have happened at some point of my life or my career, that there would be something that would distract me a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't refer to it as something bad. It was just an experience, and I didn't exactly knew how to handle it properly. I was perhaps at the time a little bit immature on the way I would handle it. I'm much more mature and understanding of it now, knowing where to prioritize and how to prioritize. But that wouldn't make her someone that I wouldn't prioritize still. It's just the separating it in the proper way and knowing when to do what and when to put attention to what. So it comes at at a certain wave, I would say. um, I was mesmerized by Paula when I first saw her, and I had a big crush on her for a long time. So it was very difficult for me to hold it together when it first happened, because
That's a good word to use, I
it
think.
was really like
Mesmerized.
a
That's a
dream
big
come
one.
true.
That's a lot of letters in that word, mesmerized. I don't know if
That's a
I can
good
spell
word.
that one.
Uh, I also, in my mind, when this first happened, I thought that, I'd better have the world know, so people can just leave me alone and leave me in peace, because I knew the responsibilities that would come with it once it's public and once everyone knew about it. That would probably be the only thing that people ask me about. So I preferred more that I kind of showcase it myself for at least 1 or 2 months, so people can kind of leave me alone, and now I can just focus on my tennis.
Mm.
It kind of created this wave, I feel like, and it still sort of presented itself the way that I thought it would. But I'm much more calm about it now. We know our, obviously, the limits with Paolo. We've discussed all sort of things. We're very balanced in this. And we both prioritize our tennis careers much more. That I feel like, at least me. I don't know Paola's side. I have no idea, but at least me.
Yo, there's a video of you at the Australian Open this year. I think she won her first set and maybe like down a break in the second. And she's like freaking out. And you're hitting her with the calma, calma, calma. So who is more coachable in the tense moments? You or her?
Paula is a great coach too. She has
Okay.
helped me get out of jail a few times during a match.
Uh-huh.
She has been a definitely great support and a great backup in difficult moments. I would say, look, I would within myself, I would feel calmer when I'm watching or when I'm explaining something. I would try. I wouldn't say I would always act like this, but I would try to act within reason. Uh, and obviously, men, we try and act more with logic.
Ah,
And
So
here's where he
yes.
starts to get
Paula
in
would
trouble.
obviously act a
Here's
little
where
bit
it's
more.
going this way.
Paula would act a little bit more out of emotion, which is normal. I understand it.
You gotta say mesmerize again. Say mesmerize again. Help yourself.
There's this mixture of both.
Suddenly, it's a good balance.
Mesmerizing.
It's very mesmerizing. Ah, that's funny, bro.
It's something I never thought that I would kind of have to deal with. I would never picture that I would be with a tennis player. It just came naturally, and it felt like we clicked from the beginning. But uh, it presents with different challenges, having to be together, different than any other type of relationship. But I'm more than happy to face those and to embrace them and to work through them. You know what I mean?
I want to know. So, in my experience, let me say this in the best way possible. Women, they always want to upgrade their partner. So,
That's,
so whether it's your fashion or maybe the way you speak or whatever it is,
in
they
my
try.
case, it's the opposite.
So, okay. In what ways has she changed you and you changed her?
Oh yes. So Paula has definitely made me a more caring person.
Okay.
Um, she has made me a better communicator. I wasn't such a good communicator before I meet her. So throughout our relationship, I felt I have improved in our my communication skills. Um,
Have to. No choice.
for sure. And what else? I'm trying to come up with some other stuff that I can actually see right now, but not. So much more. I would say much more structured in terms of trying to be organized. So in a healthy way, not in a obsessive way. And I would say one thing that I have brought into her life would probably be Paula. Why don't you just answer that yourself?
He needs help.
I
He's looking for help.
ask her.
How have
So
I?
I'm just curious to see what Paula says on this. What would be her? You don't know? Okay.
Too good.
That's way too good.
I would imagine. I would imagine I have upgraded a little bit her fashion. And
Oh
what was the
wow.
other thing you said?
Fashion, maybe the way you speak, how you treat people.
Oh, the
What else?
speaking part. Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
reintroducing a few words here and there, like
The vocabulary.
random moments of the day where vocabulary exactly. So
Yes.
reintroducing different words that she can actually use sometimes when she speaks. Uh, because I understand like probably that is a skill that I have a little bit more than her, and I don't
Mm.
blame her for it. I'm just saying like she has helped
No,
me in
for
so
sure.
many other things that I feel like maybe responsible in that part. So
Okay.
yeah, definitely stuff that we kind of enforce to each other that are enjoyable for both of us because we're both learning. But also the fashion part, Paola, I have made her start dressing a little bit more like Italian style, like
Okay.
um,
Okay.
so yeah, a little bit more classy. But she doesn't always like it, so it
Oof.
comes in
Oof.
different waves. It comes
Oof.
in different waves.
tough, tough vocabulary
Okay.
word there.
Lastly on this topic before we move on. So over Christmas break, I was doing preseason training with my cousin. He's a footballer, like soccer, and he's like about 17. And he was telling me, because I'm 29, and he was asking me if I had a girlfriend. I said no, and then he said, the advice that he had from his parents was like focus on girls later, like just work hard and train and play football. And that's kind of advice that I got from my parents too. Is like focus on what you have to do. The girls will come later. So I don't think I necessarily fully agree with that, because I think that in the right balance, it could be beneficial to you as well. So how would you answer that question? If you can give advice to, a younger tennis player or younger athlete or whoever listening that's younger, about that situation, what kind of advice can you give them about balancing, a relationship with what you deeply care about and your goals?
I really care about tennis. I happen to fall in love and find a person within my industry that I would have never expected. We had this easy connection that just happened without having to force it too much. So it kind of felt wrong not to have her by my side. It kind of felt wrong not to ask her out. And kind of reflecting on it every single day, I see no reason that I should have done it because, many might say that I haven't been playing amazing the last couple of months, but I don't think it has anything to do with that because I've never been more focused in my life when it comes to training and trying to come up with different solutions of why I'm not delivering what I should be delivering. There's also the side probably, I had my comfort zone with my father for so many years and that was lost in September, and it's not part of my comfort zone. I still maybe feel like there's a part of my identity missing without him coaching me, because it's something that I did with him since I was a little kid. I went to the tennis court with him. He was kind of part of my tennis identity. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
not seeing him there, it it took me a while to get used to. I remember traveling to all kinds of tournaments to Shanghai. We were traveling to Melbourne and feeling like there was something lacking. Um, but I have to accept responsibility. I'm an adult, and I have to obviously take my own decisions and decide for myself what is good for me and what I need to let go of. One thing one advice that I would want to give kids is, obviously to all follow their hearts. I don't think there's anything wrong that they can do. They're the ones to decide what's best for them, and sometimes the most comfortable thing wouldn't necessarily be the best thing for them, and seeking a little bit of discomfort in their lives that is going to allow them to push those limits will be beneficial for their development and their growth of who they want to be in whatever they want to be. It doesn't have to be tennis, anything.
Yeah.
And advice as well. So if they see a girl they like at the courts, what's the game? How do you get the girl that you want? How do the young ones do that? How do they approach it?
You tell them I'm mesmerized.
Just be a gentleman. That's my
A
advice.
gentleman. All right, that's the Tsitsipas game. Gentleman.
Okay.
All right, so we don't have almost any time left. We want to end with the game. We have a little tennis trivia for you. We're going to go first to 3 correct answers. I'm going to read the question. When you feel like you know the answer, you can shout it out. But you can answer one at a time. So if you guess the answer and you're wrong, Jody can rebut. And if you guys are both wrong, we can try one more time and move on to the next question.
Let's do
First to 3. Here we go. This is a Who Am I? Career high, number 5. Australian Open finalist. 2 Masters 1000 titles. Paris and Toronto. Iconic celebration of skipping while pointing to his back.
Tsonga.
Jo-Wilfried Tsonga. Allez!
Tsonga.
Wow, that's a good.
Hey, look here. Okay.
Can I just
True,
talk?
Toronto, I remember that.
Yeah.
Can I just say that I almost never win this game? No pressure, by the way.
No pressure at all.
I lose this game often, so
Okay. Steph has to get this right.
don't help him. Don't give him an easy question to it. It's
is-
okay if I win sometimes.
What is Paula Badosa's biggest singles
That's
title?
rubbish of a question.
Indian Wells.
Yeah, 1-1. No,
Rubbish of a question. You didn't even answer.
you have to try, bro. He's
But
talking.
you're targeting specifically things that he's going to know
Bro,
for sure.
if he gets it wrong, he's in trouble later. It's more pressure for him.
Yeah,
That's
but bro,
true.
I'm not. Look,
That's
I
true.
prepared
I'm
for this.
sleeping in a couch night if I get out.
Question number 3.
Oh my goodness, bro! This is not the Paula Badosa podcast. This is the
1-1.
Tsitsipas podcast.
1-1.
Why do you have to do it so? Why do you have to do me so easy, man?
That's what I'm saying. It's such an easy question.
Question number 3. Name a top 10 player with a last name beginning with the letter R.
What? Hey! You don't have to, you can't look at the internet, huh?
No, I'm not. My hands are here.
No, hands up. R?
R.
Is this person top 10?
What? Top 10.
Top 10.
R.
Rublev?
Rios.
No, top 10 currently, like right now.
Currently.
You need to know this. You're supposed to know this.
One sec. Currently?
Did you hear mine or
currently,
no?
Current top 10 player.
Did you hear mine or no? No
Rublev is
cheating.
not top
I heard you, but he's not top 10.
He's not top 10.
Yeah, so you can answer right now. You both, you go answer again, because he said Rios. So one more guess.
Nah, don't take that as a guess from him. She's helping him. Don't look at Badosa.
He's
please.
cheating. Top 10 letter R, bro.
What the heck is wrong with me? R. Top 10.
Yeah.
Rude.
Yes, Casper Ruud, number
He's
8
top
in
10
the world.
still?
I swear to God, no one told me. I swear to God, no one
Yeah,
told me. I
number
have to
8.
think about it.
No, I thought that he dropped from top 10. All right, go on.
Number 8, brother.
I thought the same. I thought he was like 14, but then
That's
I'm
what
like,
I'm searching right now.
Is
Two,
it-
one.
is he still top 10?
I'm searching right now.
Yeah,
Because this
he's
man
8.
cheats.
Bro, cheat
He's
for
8,
what,
he's
bro?
8, he's
What are we
8,
cheating for?
He's 8, bro. Go on.
What are we cheating
Next.
for, bro?
Next.
We don't
And
cheat.
she didn't tell you, did she?
No, I swear I didn't. Yeah.
Okay. Question number 4.
Suddenly I'm down 2-1. This is garbage.
We're gonna go mathematics, but it's gonna be in the form of a riddle.
Oh,
All
my
right?
goodness.
Focus.
Actually, I just thought about it now. Rune too.
Yeah, also he's
Yes, he is.
number 10.
And
Okay. When Brian was 6 years old,
I cannot stand you.
his brother was
Mike.
half his age.
Oh, okay.
Brian is now 40. How old is his brother?
37.
Yes! Let's go.
What does this have to do with tennis?
Yeah, I
Not-
agree with you.
not one
I
shit.
agree with you. I agree with
Not
you.
even a little bit.
I think math should not be in this podcast ever.
Yeah. Okay. How do we do this? It's 2-2, tiebreaker. Like you can do a
7.
song.
7.
A
You don't
song?
put me
The
through
new
that much
format,
pain.
best of 7.
No. We can do a name the song. I give you lyrics. You tell me the name of the song,
All right.
or we do a tennis question.
Let's go tennis.
Tennis question.
Okay.
Match point 2-2. Please, no distractions.
I remember when you played. Didn't you play Adidas?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
You played Adidas. You played one
Yeah.
second. You played Wilson as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You see how what a good memory I have? That's right there.
All right. Final
So we're going
question.
tennis.
Yes, tennis. What is Paula Badosa's career high ranking?
2.
Yeah.
Then it's
Stef.
no. We have to replay. This is
That
no.
is rubbish.
No, this is
Why?
rubbish. This is rubbish.
This
This is
is
rubbish. You know why this is rubbish? Because I get I get reminded every single freaking day that your career high is higher than mine.
I didn't know.
Oh yeah,
But you won, brother. You won.
I know.
I've been saying that this game has been rigged for months. I've been
It's
saying
not
it for
rigged.
at least 10
It's
episodes.
not
It's a
rigged.
rigged game. This is a rigged game.
But the thing is, if he says 3 there, he's gonna hear
Yeah.
it later, and you
Yeah, that's
you get to go to bed tonight, and you're good,
You know
bro.
what? I'll take
That's
it.
true.
It's the easiest win of my life.
Take the dubs, bro. Take the dubs.
No, but Stefanos, I just want to say, thanks again for doing this. By the way, since we reached out, well, obviously Petros reached out, so we didn't really reach out. But since your brother reached out, you guys have been great communicating and making this happen. I'm sure you guys must be really busy on your end. So thank you so much for doing this for us. Hopefully you had a good time,
That was fun.
and hopefully the audience enjoys it as well. And all the best for the grass court season and the rest of the season as well.
And we have a new little ending where we asked the guest who was just on who they think would be good on this podcast. Who would you want to see on this podcast?
Gael Bonfils.
Guy
So would we.
I like that.
So
I
would
like
we.
that a lot, actually. That sounds good. Steph, thank you,
you.
brother. Say what?
I'll reach out for you if you him.
We
Oh,
would
yeah?
love that.
That
Thank
would
you.
be unreal.
I can reach out for you.
We need you to do that, actually. We don't want you to do it. We need it.
All right.
I
I'll
appreciate
help
it.
myself. I'll be like, you have to be next on the podcast.
For sure. That would be a
Thank
big
you.
help, brother. Yeah, bro. Good luck on the grass and the rest of the year. Stay healthy. And stay mesmerized, my brother. Enjoy.
Keep staying mesmerized. Thank you. Take
For
care.
sure. Thanks you, brother.
All the best.